It's such a different feeling in the morning than in the evening, isn't it? I mean, it's just a different feeling. You should ask me, which one do you like better? I won't tell you. On August 1st, I started preparing for the high holidays. I decided to make a list of all the good things that happened to the Jewish people in 5782. I asked my rabbinic colleagues in the Reform movement to help me through our Facebook discussion group. Not one person responded. So either they hate me, which I don't think so, or maybe the concept didn't make any sense to them. So I am generally diligent, and so I came up with this list. 42 things that are, I call it good news for the Jews in 5782. How many people want me to read the 42 items? Not one person. No, we have one. We have one takers. I have 10 I'm going to share with you, okay? And these are serious. This is not like a joke list. It's a serious list. 1, Emory historian Deborah E. Lipstadt was confirmed by the United States Senate as a special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism, a position in the Department of State with the rank of ambassador. Number 2, which is really amazing, the Shirat Tamar Synagogue, an Orthodox synagogue in Efrat, Israel, has appointed Rabbanit Shira Mervis as its sole spiritual leader and Jewish law authority, the first woman ever to serve in such a role in Israel. An Orthodox woman rabbi who's head of a synagogue in Israel. Number 3, Vice President Kamala Harris and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff became the first known second family to host a Passover Seder at the Vice President's residence. Number 4, the conservative Jews, the conservative movement, introduced a prayer phrase for calling up people to the Torah who identify as non-binary. Rather than tamod, please stand for feminine, or ya'amod, please stand masculine, one can use the neuter infinitive na la'amod when calling someone up to the Torah, which means please come up. Number 5, over 1,000 people celebrated Passover in Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the largest seders ever held in the Arab world. Number 6, the Torah, a modern commentary, edited by Rabbi Gunter Plaut, that's the official Chumash of the Reform movement. It was translated into Russian. Isn't that interesting? This is my favorite, okay? Zerta, a Barcelona restaurant that earned a coveted star from the Michelin Guide, received a kashrut certificate. No one is hearing things like this anywhere in America. You should be so proud of me, and I want a lot of positive feedback. Rabbi Dr. Eli Abadi, he's a Sephardic rabbi, relocated from New York to Dubai. Rabbi Abadi has become the senior rabbi of the Jewish Council of the Emirates in the Association of Gulf Jewish Communities. I mean, that's amazing. Number 9, Moroccan King Mohammed VI recognized his country's Jewish community as a component of the rich Moroccan culture. And number 10, and this is something that relates to our local community, we're part of it, more than 140,000 children, ages 6 months to 8 years, receive the PJ Library book each month. 140,000 children. And it goes all over the world. I mean, it's really an amazing thing, and our community is part of it. So that was a good list. Anyone want any more? No. Okay. I'll give you one more because I'm just a nice person, and I'm a little bit obsessive. No, this is good. This is good. Number 3 on my list, it was the 100th anniversary of the bat mitzvah of Judith Eisenstein, the first bat mitzvah in American Judaism, and the daughter of Rabbi Mordechai M. Kaplan. It's really interesting. It's a great, if you want the list, just email me and I'll think about it. Okay, so. There's much good happening in this world and for the Jewish people. But as we recognize all the good Jewish news of 5782, we must be cautious as we enter 5783. In general, anti-Semitic incidents have skyrocketed. And it's a very big topic. But let me focus on one part of this phenomena that needs our special attention on this new year. It's the rise of Christian nationalism in this country. And let me state it up front. Most Christians do not share in these ideas, but a voice of an extreme minority cannot be ignored. They are powerful and dangerous. Christian nationalism is a view of reality that idealizes and advocates a blending of Christianity with American civic life. Christian nationalism contends that America has been and should always be distinctively Christian from top to bottom in its self-identity, its interpretations of its history, sacred symbols, cherished values, public policies, and its aim is to keep it that way. And the adherents to this ideology fear and distrust religious minorities, report being very uncomfortable with both interracial marriage and transracial adoption, hold anti-immigrant views, seek censure of textbooks and school libraries, believe that men are better suited for all leadership roles while women are better suited to care for children in the home, want the Bible taught in schools. These groups, the 3 Percenters, the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, Texas Freedom Force are all inspired by Christian nationalism. This cannot be written off. And we Jews, Christians, and Muslims who care deeply about America must make sure that the truth about our nation and its history is stated. Our founding fathers were not interested in creating a Christian nation. Many were Christians and very dedicated to Christianity, but the idea of a Christian nation offended them. The founders were concerned by the divisive nature of religion. George Washington worried about religious controversies. To prevent such controversies, Washington ordered the Continental Army's commanders, and I quote, to protect and support free exercise and undisturbed enjoyment of religious matters. Benjamin Franklin criticized Christian church services for promoting church memberships instead of trying to make us good citizens. That's why it's really important what Mara read, our prayer for our country. Because we love our country. Part of being an American Jew is the love of country, as other groups share that as well. But it's really important for us to recognize that we're not just promoting Judaism, we're promoting, in my opinion, good citizenship. That's has to be part of our mission. America's 4th president, James Madison, was raised an Anglican, but he was a fierce proponent of church-state separation and the author of the Bill of Rights to affirm America not becoming a Christian nation. Congress and all states added the First Amendment to the Constitution in 1791, barring government establishment of any and all religion. Even really devout church-going Congregationalist John Adams signed his presidential signature on the 1796 Treaty of Tripoli, which contains these words in Article 11, and he was signing it with a Muslim country, interestingly. Quote, the United States is not in any sense a Christian nation. The 23 members present in the Senate out of 32 ratified the document unanimously. So all who were there signed it and agreed to it. Each of the nation's 3 founding documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, the United States Constitution, carefully avoid all mention of Christianity or Christ, hardly a hallmark of a Christian nation. Now, this is not just Jewish propaganda. This is what serious scholars of American history teach and know to be true. There have been episodes where people have challenged the founders' vision, we know that, and have distorted it, we know that. But in the end, in our country, they were tamped down. And look where we are today. We have members of Congress espouting this. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that being a Christian nationalist is, quote, unquote, nothing to be ashamed of. Representative Lauren Boebert gave a speech at the Christian Center in her home state of Colorado complaining she was, quote, tired of this separation of church and state junk, close quote. She claimed that, quote, the church is supposed to direct the government, close quote. And these people, no one throws them out anywhere. I mean, does anyone hold them accountable for anything? And how can that be tolerated? It seems symptomatic of something dangerous in our country. Let's focus directly on the situation of American Jews. Do Jews have religious freedom when the Supreme Court reads into the Constitution the Christian rights idea about abortion? Judaism teaches that abortion is sometimes necessary, a requirement. Don't we have religious liberty to follow our own religious morality? Do the Jews have religious freedom when the Supreme Court says that a coach can offer prayers on a playing field after a game in a manner that is disrespectful and exclusionary to non-Christians? Do we have religious freedom if a shooter radicalized by Christian nationalism comes into the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh on Shabbat and murders congregants? Now, I'm not here to scare you, but let us not be indifferent to what we confront. The America that we love is running away from its values. Don't listen to me, okay? Listen to Thomas Reese, an American Catholic Jesuit priest, author, and journalist who recently wrote this. Today, and I quote, "Today many Americans embrace Christian nationalism, arguing that the founders of our republic were Christians and they meant to be a Christian nation. While it is historically true that most of our founding fathers were Christians, it is also true that they wanted a secular government free of religion. They had seen how uniting politics and religion in Europe led to a religious persecution and wars. These wars and persecutions led many to flee Europe for America. The founders wanted a government that would treat people of all faiths equally. There's work to be done, and I intend to do some of that work. We need to be able to stand firm. The false vision of America espoused by Christian nationalists must be opposed. It can't be tolerated ever in any situation. And when we feel that we and what we stand for is being trivialized, we must stand firm. We must stand firm. We need to be vocal, strident, vigilant, sometimes difficult. Someone says something that is not right or shows ignorance or disrespect for the great heritage of religious tolerance, we need to call them on it. We all need to find a place where we can draw the line in the sand. And here is where I draw the line in Kansas City. I've never spoken about it, but I'm going to speak about it right now. And I want you to hear my whole presentation on this. Every year there is a Greater Kansas City's Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, M-A-Y-O-R-S, apostrophe. All local mayors from all the local cities in Kansas and Missouri are invited and present. It's not organized by the mayors, it's organized by an organization. And the organizers claim that their purpose is to bring the community together. Listen to the statement on their website. Just Google this if you want to see what's going on. Our mission is to, I'm quoting, our mission is to honor God and encourage spiritual awakening and moral growth in every individual throughout the greater Kansas City area. Join us in creating a community of faithful believers who prayerfully gather with one voice, one heart, and one spirit for the sake of our neighbors, our communities, and our nations. So on the surface, it sounds noble and inclusive, but it is not. I have attended one of them, and pardon my vulgarity, I was pissed off. It was chilling in its insensitivity. Not one mention of any religion besides Christianity. Not one non-Christian clergy involved. And I will defend anyone's right to have a prayer breakfast, even if I'm not invited or welcomed. But labeling this as a Greater Kansas City Mayor's prayer breakfast, in effect, is using political cover to promote evangelical Christianity. That cannot stand in Kansas City or anywhere. Now, I wrote a letter. And I write a lot of letters, but I think this is a good one. And I wrote it to, and I assume this is a lovely gentleman. So I wrote to the head of the sponsoring group. Maybe you know him, Tim New. And I said, "Dear Mr. New, I hope that this letter finds you well. I am the rabbi of the New Reformed Temple in Kansas City. Our great city is blessed with a rich multi-religious ethos. People of so many faiths can live safely and respectfully together, following the dictates of their own religious beliefs. This reality is one of the true blessings of being an American. I am certain that you are a civic leader committed to creating a tolerant and inclusive community. Each year, the Greater Kansas City's Mayor's Prayer Breakfast is held. And these prayer breakfasts are troubling events for me as a Jew. And interfaith sensitivity is lacking at these gatherings. Christianity is the only religion highlighted. No non-Christian clergy participate. No attempt is made to recognize our multi-religious community. No prayers are offered to which I, as a Jew, could say Amen. The main speaker is always a person who shares an aspect of their life and then links it to their affirmation of their Christian faith. Everything is done with good intentions, I know. Yet non-Christians feel alienated and out of place. A mayor's prayer breakfast should be inclusive. It cannot show preference for one religion over another. I fear that our country is moving away from religious tolerance and pluralism. Unfortunately, religion is weaponized and politicized. We Jews feel that we are increasingly living in a country less hospitable to minority faith traditions. Regardless of the intent, this breakfast reinforces this negative trend. I would ask that you address the structure and content of this prayer breakfast. I believe that you could play a vital role in affirming our great American tradition of religious tolerance. I suggest that the philosophy of the annual National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C. would be appropriate for the mayor's prayer breakfast. At those breakfasts, people of all faiths attend and offer prayers. Those breakfasts celebrate our American religious diversity. All people who attend feel validated and strengthened. I would be happy to discuss this matter with you further and to join with the committee to reflect on your vision for the breakfast. A breakfast which is associated with Kansas City should affirm the religious diversity of our great city. I hope that you agree. It would mean so much for me to be able to directly discuss this matter with you. In peace, Rabbi Alan Londy. I thought that was a good letter, don't you think? Yes. Totally respectful, totally appropriate, and I meant it. I'm assuming all good intentions. And just for a footnote, I addressed this issue several years ago with a very nice gentleman who wrote me a very nice letter back and basically said, okay, what do you think what the response to this letter was? Okay, let's vote. How many people think I got a response? You optimist, no response. So I wrote a similar letter to Mayor Lucas, and here is what his office responded to me by email. Hello, Rabbi Londy. I want to let you know we received your letter regarding the annual mayor's prayer breakfast. And again, it's not organized by the mayors. It's got a label on it. And appreciate your concerns about religious tolerance and pluralism. I'm sure it is no one's intent to show lack of sensitivity, and I'm sorry this is distressing you. Okay. Little did I know how distressed I am about everything. But okay, but Becky and Nathan are not going to talk. Okay. Ask my wife, who's a saint for living with me. I will forward this to Mayor Lucas and make him aware of how non-Christians like yourself feel alienated and out of place at this event. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Althea M. Curie. Now, Mayor Lucas is a great friend of the Jewish community. He was in here when we started our renovation. He's really a wonderful man, and we know he wants our city to be religiously tolerant and inclusive. And I'm trying to arrange to speak to him directly about this so I can get some guidance as to how I can continue my little crusade. The religious arrogance of this breakfast is astounding. And it's exactly the attitude that distorts our country's religious attitude. And it is especially important at this time when Christian nationalism has been energized. We need to be firm in stating unequivocally that we do not accept this idea of Christianizing of the American story and that the public square must be neutral when it comes to any specific religion. We honor our Christian neighbors. We love our Christian family members. We respect the passion of Christian worshipers. We applaud what so many Christian houses of worship do for our community. We want to partner with them, and thank goodness most Christians share our disgust with the arrogance of some radical American Christians who distort American history. But there is something unhealthy in our nation. It includes Kansas City. It is poison. It is intensifying. It is woven into our political discussions and elections and legislatures and some news outlets. It is a blight on our country's values, and for us not to be vigilant would be disastrous. America is too great of a nation to be weakened by those who want to distort what we are truly about. Here in our great country, no one should be afraid or be excluded because they seek to connect to their God or to know God. That was the vision of our founders. Let us pray for better days and let us act with courage and determination to make that so. Our fellow citizens need to hear our voice, and we need to be courageous. Shana Tova.